Climate change is having an impact on every corner of the world. In Brazil, challenges face agriculture as rising temperature and extreme weather cut output in many parts of the country.
In September, freak tornado and floods were seen by many Brazilian farmers as a harbinger of troubled future. Rising temperatures, a shift in seasons, and extreme weather in coming decades are likely to cut outputs in some areas, while entirely wiping out crops in others, say experts. Predictions may be coming true, with an unusual tornado in South becoming the latest example of bad weather that destroys crops and houses. At stake is a $250 billion farm industry, food for millions of poor, and supplies of major export crops like soybeans and coffee to world markets. In southern Minas Gerais state, thousands of small coffee farmers are already struggling with rising costs, low prices, and debt. The government's Agriculture Research Institute, Embrapa, is working on developing heat-resistant coffee with longer roots. We do not know whether there will be sufficient water for everyone, and that is a problem. We most likely will not have enough. In southern Minas Gerais state, there are about 500,000 hectares of coffee. Certainly, there is not enough water for that kind of cultivation. After agreeing last year to slash Amazon deforestation in half, Brazil is seeking a leadership role in global climate talks. The government says it will adopt targets on greenhouse gas emissions. It has, however, been slow to research climate change, the impact, and how Brazilian agriculture can adapt. Brazil's Environment Minister Carlos Mink said the Northeast will be one of the worst hit regions. Brazil's Northeast will lose one-third of its economic activity if we do not act quickly and if temperatures rise by 2 degrees Celsius by the end of the century. According to Brazil's National Institution for Space Studies, sparse rains will continue to diminish and temperatures will rise by 3 to 4 degrees Celsius by 2050 in the poor Northeast. Higher temperatures threaten to wipe out staples such as cassava for millions of people in the region. Down south in Varginha, 76-year-old farmer Ivo Bueno Pierva points to his infested, withered coffee trees. In 5 of the past 10 years, he said, rainfall was well below average, shriveling leaves and drying flowers. Weather patterns have changed entirely. When we need rain, there is none. When we do not, look at the weather. This should be a dry period, but for the past 3 days, the weather has not helped the harvest. The hilly region accounts for half of Brazil's coffee, but by the second half of the century, it may produce no more. Even slight changes in temperature or precipitation can devastate flowering, growth, and harvest of crops. Embrapa has been working on more efficient methods to water coffee plants. We have been trying to compensate for the water shortage that has been affecting us. We cannot state that this is the result of extreme climate change, but with this irrigation system, we have managed to move forward in terms of production. Technology can help farmers adapt to climate change, but results from experiments have been mixed. At an experimental farm in Varginha, researchers seeking to mitigate droughts have planted coffee trees in forests, where it is cooler and moisture. Tests, however, showed that less light reduces output and inability to use machine increases labor costs. Yet new efficient farming methods might take decades to develop. The climate is deteriorating. We have been studying new methods to maintain farming activities. Research in most farm sectors, however, has only just begun, and spending is inadequate. Farmers need capital to develop new crops and proper infrastructure for processing and transport. Experts say coming up with new crops will cost approximately $6.7 million per year for the next decade. Yet Brazil spends only a fraction of what it should. TITV Weekly.